Everyone, this is Jason, and I want to speak to you today about reorganizing for effectiveness. This is a recap of the conversations that you've already had in your school teams regarding some of the structural changes we're making to our organization, but we felt it would be helpful for you to have a recap of that. There's nothing here that should be new, but if you had questions about what you heard the other day, this should hopefully help clarify. What are the three main goals for our restructuring? The first is we want to increase collaboration between schools and school teams. That helps for idea exchange and building best practices between schools so we can learn from each other. The second thing is we want to strengthen the support that you receive in your work from the shared services that come out of Central, whether that's family engagement, communications, CAP. All of those services are designed to make you more effective, and we want to make sure that that support is strengthened and happens effectively. The third thing that we want to achieve is to provide more opportunities for our staff to develop and to advance in their careers. Really, the core of our work is your work. If you are effective, scholars will be successful, and we want to make sure that we're creating opportunities for everyone who's interested in taking on more responsibility to get that chance. All of this is for one specific reason, and it's to help scholars. Scholars are literally the center of what we do. So being able to have that school team on the ground working directly with scholars every day, that's really the core of what we do. But we also want to make sure that we are effectively wrapping all the support services that you need on the ground to be effective in your job. Ideally, this new structure will help us achieve that increased support that can make you more effective. So what's changed in our structure? First of all, schools will be organized in smaller regions. And these regions will function as active learning communities. One school director from each region will operate as the regional school director. That allows that school director to not only serve as a regional leader, but remains close to their work at the school level, ideally creating an environment where that is informed by what's happening on the ground and allows for sharing resources and best practices that most effectively support our scholars. This is modeled after the professional learning community practices that thriving school districts tend to adopt. And we're excited because school directors will work together to adjust and add systems of support and resources for best practices. Being able to collaborate as a small team of folks with like-minded challenges should hopefully really be an effective opportunity. Regional directors will specifically support the school directors in their region, promoting a highly effective working team, and like I said, identifying and sharing out best practices across the region and with other regions. So we have three regions in our new structure. Region 1 will be led by Carly at Maine East and include Highland Park, Warren Township, Mundelein, and our new school in Milwaukee, Golda Meir. We've also asked Carissa at Mundelein to work directly with the soon-to-be hired school director at Golda because Carissa has built Mundelein from its very beginning through to the mature program that it is now with its first graduating class of seniors. Having that insight on how to build a brand new program will be really helpful as we try to do the same thing in Milwaukee. Region 2 will be led by Lindsay at Waukegan and include Round Lake, Zion, Cristo Rey, and North Chicago. And then Region 3 will be led by Allie at Westinghouse and will include Sen, Gwendolyn Brooks, RTC, and Lynn Bloom. All three of these regionals will report to and be supported by Joanne, who is the Managing Director of Schools. In that role, Joanne will continue to set policies, establish goals, and participate in the strategic planning within the larger organization. She'll also support school partnership efforts, including new schools, and support overall scholar selection process and goals. You'll notice that some of the schools as outlined here are in green and some are in blue. Schools that are in blue are schools that will continue to be supported by Joanne. So she'll be supporting along with Mundelein, she'll be supporting both RTC and in Lindblom as their supervisor until the Westinghouse site is set up for Allie to supervise all Regional 3 schools. Another thing I'd like to note is that Kathleen Clancy, who had been the other school regional director in our organization, will be shifting her role within the org. So Kathleen is going to be moving into a part-time role as a performance measurement lead. What that job entails is to be looking at our programs, trying to understand where we are most effective and providing insights on how we can improve. It's a really important work. I'm very excited to have both Joanne and Kathleen in their new roles and look forward to continuing to work with them. As a reminder, I will also continue visiting all schools 3 or 4 times a year, and I'll be joining as many regional meetings and school director meetings as I can. And I do hold my office hours every Friday, 10 to 12, for anyone in the organization who wants to talk to me. So ultimately, we see these regions as really adding more support and hopefully not taking anything away in terms of access or communication. Regional directors are now taking on additional responsibility, not only managing their own school program, but also supporting school directors within their region. We felt it was really important to provide that regional school director more support within their school team and take some of the managerial load at the school level off of that school director. So what we've done is we've had people management responsibilities to either a senior education counselor or a senior college counselor at each of the 3 regional schools. Whether it's an education counselor or a college counselor just depends on that particular school site. But in each case, that senior counselor is going to be responsible for managing all of the scholar coaches at that particular site. That will allow for the school director to have the capacity that they'll need to be an effective regional lead. And it also opens up more career advancement for the school-based staff, that one of those counselors to step into that role of managing a team, which is great training for becoming a school director at some point. Along with that, we've added PA positions at each school, the grade tracking support, and new positions like the ACA and outreach coordinator to help provide more capacity at the school, which hopefully allows for scholar coaches to take on additional responsibilities and support their senior EC or senior CC. Ultimately, what we are trying to do here is create throughout the org opportunities for everyone at each level to step up. So whether it's stepping into a senior counselor role, whether it's for a school director moving into a regional director role, at each case, it gives people some training and some opportunity to move forward in their own career. And obviously, it creates more support and a little bit more organizational resiliency as we think about new roles. As vacancies occur, we have people who are trained who can then take those roles on. In terms of our timeline, now that we have discussed all of these changes with each of you, we're going to formally provide the rollout of this new structure next week at the end of August. We're going to continue to talk about how to work on improving our scholar outcomes and building a structure that helps support you and our scholars at our all-staff meeting on September 16th. And then we will have our leadership retreat with all school directors, regional school directors, and managing directors in October. And that will also be focused on structuring for effectiveness. So this is going to be an ongoing process. And, as an organization that values innovative mindset, we think it is important for us to continue to think about how we can improve not just our processes, but our structure and our activities to make sure that we are supporting you and that we are supporting our scholars. So I'm very excited for these changes, and I hope you are too. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your school director or your regional school director, Joanne, or myself. We'd all be happy to talk further with you about this. Thanks.